everyone, this is Michael and I'm back with the penultimate video for the inventory management part of the onboarding guide. And today we will look at how to add our non-Amazon inventory balances. In the previous video, if you haven't seen it yet, we discussed how to add your initial Amazon inventory balances, and I showed you a couple of reports that NeonPanel provides that will help you make things easier. And in this section here, you need to enter the data by yourself because, of course, NeonPanel doesn't have access to your 3PL warehouses. We don't know how many of what units sit at your various warehouses that have nothing to do with Amazon. And so in here, you need to enter this information yourself. So let's go ahead and click on the task. And again, like in the previous step, we will be taken to the data upload section of NeonPanel, where once you fill out your file, you can then import it. Again, if you want to download instructions, which will explain some of the things in more detail, as well as cover some of the common mistakes people make, you can go ahead and click download instructions and view that for yourself. And you can download the template which NeonPanel expects the format to be in by clicking download template. I've gone ahead and prepared this file. It's actually the same file that we saw for the previous video, just it contains also the supplier forwarding information. You saw that in that video as well. But I want to focus a little bit more on this supplier forwarding side and in general a few mistakes to avoid, because in the previous steps you would have probably used just your NeonPanel reports, and in those reports you would just need to fill out the prices. You would not need to think too much about how to populate the other columns. But in this case, you don't have any such report to rely on and to help you. So let's talk a little bit more about the different columns and how to fill them out and what to avoid. So as you can see here, these two columns will generally always be the same. The company will always be the same if you're uploading data for the same company. So it's Neon Demo, then the template name is going to be the same. And the acquisition vendor for now is going to be the same. When we get to the business as usual or the day-to-day activities, it will be an actual vendor. In your NeonPanel catalog, you will have your actual vendors who supply you products, and you will enter those. But right now, for the migration of the data, we're just using sort of a made-up acquisition vendor to make it a little bit easier. So this will probably be the same across the different warehouses, including the non-Amazon warehouses. Then the SKU column, I think, is relatively self-explanatory. So what product you're entering the information for in the rest of the columns is determined by the SKU. So these are the SKUs, and then relevant to those SKUs are the quantities, the prices at which you purchase them, at which warehouse you're placing these quantities at these prices, and when you should receive them, so when they should appear on this warehouse in your NeonPanel transactions. Again, for the acquisition, it should always be the start date, right? So an important point here is you can see this same SKU has different prices on supplier forwarding versus FBA. That's because, as you might remember from the previous video, on the FBA we used full landed cost, so the purchasing price plus all the freights, duties, etc. that you incurred and that you wanted to capitalize towards your inventory. Well, on the supplier forwarding, it has not incurred any freight or duties or any other expenses or costs, and that's why it's for now a little bit cheaper. So you want to actually just enter the manufacturing price at this point. This is because later on, as you go along, so for example, once you want to send the goods from your supplier forwarding warehouse or your manufacturer's warehouse to your prep center or directly to FBA, you will create a shipment, and to that shipment you will be able to connect a bill for the payment for those freights, duties, etc. And those expenses will be distributed automatically to your inventories, and their price will increase. So that price will increase later. For now, we just want to provide the manufacturing price. So as we can see here on the supplier forwarding, I had these numbers of these goods. And so if I don't have, as I'm simulating in this account, if I don't have any products anywhere else except Amazon FBA and supplier forwarding, I am done with this, because these are the only products that I have on supplier forwarding. I don't have anything on my 3PLs, etc. And so what I can do is I can just go ahead, click on File, download it as a CSV, then go back to my data upload section over here. Let me... Why is this popping up? Okay. Then click Browse, choose the file that I had just populated and downloaded, and click Import. And as in the last time, you will get this message that's saying that the file is currently being processed, and you will be notified when this is done. So let's go ahead, and this usually takes about 10 seconds. It depends, of course, on how many different orders you have, how many different numbers you have, but for the file of my size that's relatively small, it should take a relatively short period of time. So let me go ahead. Okay, I got the next message. So again, it's saying that this file that I had just uploaded has been processed without any errors, and please check the inventory orders. So as you can see here, for the supplier forwarding, this order has been created, and you can check for accuracy that everything has been imported the way that you intended. In this case, I think that it is. And so this part of the onboarding process is done. Now, one thing I haven't talked about is active orders. So if you had ordered something already from your manufacturer and it's currently being fabricated, you can also enter this information here. It's just in the date order received column, you just leave it empty. You won't provide anything in there, and you will upload it in that way. So, but in that case, what you want to do is actually provide the vendor that is supplying these goods. If you don't yet have that vendor, you can add it into the vendor's catalog and then choose it here, or just write the name of this vendor here, upload it. If NeonPanel cannot find the vendor with the name that's specified in the file, a new one will be created, so you can do it that way. And once you upload this file, these orders will also be reflected in your inventory orders. And let me go ahead, you will get that order in here, but accept the fact that this order complete will not be finished yet. There won't be a date. And so once your manufacturer confirms that the units have been manufactured fully, you will provide the date, and then you will click order complete, and that would be the date that you specify here when the products will be placed onto the chosen warehouse in your NeonPanel system. So to go back to our inventory NeonPanel onboarding, we are 6 out of 7 for the inventory management module, and I will see you for the next video for importing 3PL balances. See you then.